On today's Tech Help for Churches, 5 things I wish I knew when I started using Twitter. Hi everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Tech Help for Churches. I am your host, Paul Allen Clifford, and I'd love for you to join the conversation. So head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact, and that's where you can leave your questions, your comments, your snide remarks, what have you. And you can also find all my contact information. So if leaving a comment on a blog post isn't your thing, that's okay. You can also call 1-877-POD-ECHO, 1-877-763-3246, or drop me a line on email, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com. You'll also see directly below my face, if you're watching the video, my Twitter handle, Paul Allen Cliff. That's the shortest possible version of each of those. So PAUL, of course, that otherwise it would be Pal or Paul or something. Allen, A-L-A-N, Cliff, C-L-I-F. Short for Clifford, like the big red dog, if you're familiar with those children's stories. So please leave your questions, comments, or anything else you want at one of those places. First, I want to talk about my pastor's book. It's coming out here very, very soon, and it's called What Life Are You Waiting For? And it's really the book that's meant for people that are waiting. They're waiting for their life to really start. They're waiting for their calling really to be unleashed, and you may not need to. Now, for some people, waiting is a good thing. For some people, you're supposed to be waiting. But I think for the vast majority of people, they let their entire lives go by thinking, oh, someday I will. And someday never gets here. It's not on the calendar. I've looked. I've looked in all sorts of calendars. There's no someday. And by the way, there's no tomorrow either. There's days that are in reference to today, tomorrow, but you can never land on tomorrow. You never wake up and say, oh, it's tomorrow. Nope, sorry. So what you need to do is learn how to take real action and really pursue your dreams and the calling that God has for you. That's part of what I'm trying to do on Wednesdays with the Eternity Changers show. But I learned most of the principles there from my pastor, Pete Heiss, who's the author of this book. It's published by Tyndale and forwarded by Bill Hybels, so I think that you'll find it's a great book for you to read as you pursue your calling and passion. Also, churchstreaming.tv provides all the streaming bandwidth for the churchtechcast.com network, and I would love for you to give them a try. If you're at all interested, head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/churchstreaming, and you will be glad you did. What sets them apart is really customer service, and so I would love for you to see why I love their service so much. What they provide is everything that I need to stream these shows 5 days a week. So give them a shot, and if you do and it works for you, I get a little bit of a commission, and that'll help keep these shows running and keep, as a friend of mine says, it will help feed hungry children, mine. So I hope that helps you. So let's get started. There are a few things that I wish that I had known when I started using Twitter. Now, I'm an early adopter, so I started using Twitter much earlier than most people. I started using it in, let's see here, 2005 or 2006. I believe that I tweeted when my youngest daughter was born, and she was born in 2006. So I was already on it at that time, so that predates most people. I've got over 20,000 followers. I'm the number 9 Twitter user in my city. Actually, that's not exactly true because I live in a small town adjoining the next major city, and I would be the number 1 in my small town, but really that's not hard to do. So I've gone to the adjoining town, which is a much larger area, several 100,000 people, and I'm number 9. Beating out, by the way, a lot of local celebrities, newscasters, people that have a bigger platform than I do. Most people in my area don't know who I am, but yet I'm very popular on Twitter. So these are some things that I learned over the years that I really wish I'd known when I first started. But then again, Twitter was so new, a lot of the things you couldn't have known them. So number 1, Twitter is about meeting new people. If LinkedIn is about business, and Facebook is about all the people you already know, well, that's not what Twitter is. Twitter is about meeting new people. So you really ought to think of it as the platform for that. Reaching out, connecting with new people, like minds, people that are kind of interested in what you're interested in, and that way you can really make a bigger impact than if you view it as, well, what one of these others does. So that's the first thing that I wish that I'd known. Secondly, I wish that I'd known that having good content and engaging with people will only take you so far. I did that for probably 3 or 4 years, and I got 200 followers, and you'll notice that now I have over 20,000. So that's not what did it. It was actually a different process that we'll talk about in just a second. But I really thought, hey, if I just put a lot of effort into this, really engage, people will just start following. They'll recommend. No. I mean, this goes back to number 1. I had a lot of people that I already knew, but I didn't have a lot of people that I didn't know. So I really wasn't expanding my audience, expanding my influence as I was later on. Number 3. Boom. When you click on a link that takes you to the Twitter login page, don't log in there. Ever. Ever. This goes along with something that I've tweeted more than once. 1, no one is laughing at this thing that you did that they found even though you don't know each other. That's not true. There's no video where you're embarrassing yourself that's come out. Not true. Okay, in some rare cases maybe there is, but a total stranger didn't find it and figure out that it was you. That's not true. There are a lot of links. They used to come in the form of direct messages, but now they come in the form of @replies, mentions, whatever Twitter's calling them this week. And those messages will take you to, there'll be a shortened link which will take you to what looks like Twitter's login page. It's not. It's a way to steal your login information. So don't put your login information there. Thankfully, this didn't happen to me because I got like 3 of these all at once with the exact same message. And I'm like, that's dubious. First off, why would someone who doesn't know me find a funny picture of me? Secondly, why are there 3 people that are saying the exact same thing? Yeah. So that's one of the advantages of having a lot of followers, that when there's a hack that goes around, I get it multiple times, and so it's very clear that it's a hack. In fact, that's how the hack works. They lure you in with an @ reply. You click on the link, you log in, and what it actually has just done is stolen your Twitter credentials, where they'll do whatever they want and propagate this hacked message to all of your followers saying, "Hey, I found this funny picture of you. You can't believe what it is." There. That's what it does. Now, that's not a problem with your web browser. That's not a problem with your phone. It's not a problem with your iPad. None of those are causing this problem. It was all you putting your login and password into another page, which takes it and then uses it on Twitter. So change your password immediately and it's fixed. Next thing, number 4. You can build quite a following just by following and unfollowing people. Now, this is how I got as big as I am. I don't randomly do this. I don't want 20,000 bots or 20,000 accounts that really don't do anything. I want real people. So what I do is I look for other people in my area. In the case of me, it's church tech, creativity, authoring books, that kind of thing. I look for people in those areas of expertise, and I follow their followers. I like to think of it this way. Let's say that there was a conference put on by someone whose work interests you. You go to that conference. While you're there, you introduce yourself to everyone you can, and you hand out your business card. Some of them start interacting with you and you connect. Others ignore you completely. The ones that ignore you completely, it's okay never to pay attention to them again, so you can unfollow them. But when you were passing out your business card, that was just following a large amount of people, and unfollowing them is saying, okay, you're not interested, that's cool. If you're not interested, I'm not interested, no problems. But if they follow you back, keep them on your list and repeat. So that's basically how you can build a large following on Twitter. Now, you got to be careful because Twitter sees this as somewhat scammy, and so you don't want to do that with thousands of people a day unless you already have hundreds of thousands of followers. But you could do, also you want to keep your ratios about right. So ideally you would have a follower to following ratio of 1:1. So for every person you're following, you would have a person who's following you. Now, they need not be the same people, but you don't want to be following 1,000 people and have 2 people following you. That's too high. The better way to do it is if you have 2 people following you, follow 4 people. And if one of those follows you back, now you have 3 people. So now go to 5. You see, and just keep working it until you get to a decent level, and it should expand. So that's actually one of the tricks in my book, Tweeting Church. So if you're interested in that, by the way, AM as in Mary, Z or Z if you're in Canada or the UK, N as in Nancy, amzn.to/tweetchurch will take you there, and you can buy a copy of the Kindle version or the paperback version of Tweeting Church. Just threw that in, but I thought that it might be of interest to some people. Okay, number 5, you can build an email list just by DMing people that you followed that are new and offering them a free gift. Now, you'll notice earlier I've talked about email lists. that email lists are a great way to connect with people. I send out my emails every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. If you'd like a copy of my first book, Podcasting Church, in a digital form, you can get that for free just by going to bit.ly/podcast church free. That's all one word. So bit.ly/podcast church free. All lowercase, all one word. Go there and you can get on my newsletter and get a free copy of that book. So that's the kind of thing that I would DM to new followers. And I've found that that's a very effective way to build my list. I went from just a couple hundred to over 1,000 the first year that I did that. So I actually need to get back on the stick and do some more of that. But I found that that's a very effective way to reach out to new people and really kind of engage with them in their inbox. So I hope that these ideas, these things that I've learned over the years, really help you. I want you to use them not necessarily to become the next internet millionaire. I don't think that's a good plan. But think about how they can work for your church. How can you reach out to people that are interested in local events? How can you become someone that when someone moves into the area, they go, hey, if you're on Twitter, you ought to follow Pastor Jim, for example. That's a way to really increase the influence that you can have in your local community. As you're trying to follow people, just follow local people. There are tools online for how to do that. You can have a mailing list with helpful things, and from time to time mention that it comes from your church. I've mentioned the idea before of having parenting tips and having that as a list that goes out every week with parenting tips, and maybe Christmas and Easter, or anytime there's a big kids event at your church, just mention that in passing. After a year or after some time of being really helpful, people might think, well, if they're helpful all the time, maybe that should be a church I should try. I'm not into church. Bingo. There you go. They'd be at least interested. So these are ultimately tips and tricks and things that I've learned that I think their sole purpose is to help you join me in going out and changing eternity. Until next time, I'm Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.